To say going live.
Boom. Oh, none of that's working.
Nope. It's not. You can't hear it?
Nope.
Ah.
Fail.
Fail. All right.
Yeah. And this doesn't work either way because then I have to like.
Let's start the show over.
No, it doesn't work that way in the professional ranks. This is like Saturday Night Live, baby.
Oh, God. Oh. All right.
There we go.
It's the backup.
Yeah. Should always have a backup. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Draw Drinking Podcast. And everything's working out perfectly tonight.
Perfectly.
So it is me, Alex Morrissey, Gary Duffner.
What up?
And we have Jamie Jones as co-host.
Yeah, Jamie!
We had our guest of the evening, guest du jour, Eric Shanower, who just appeared and disappeared like Haley's Comet. He'll be back, but until then, let's talk some Jamboree.
Yeah. I think we just hit the 24-hour mark on how long this thing is going.
Yeah.
So we are 22 hours away from ending it. It is currently at 205 backers, which is the most successful Kickstarter I've ever run.
Nice.
Which is
nice.
awesome. And Nick and I are super excited. I'm glad that it's happening and that we were able to do it on Kickstarter and all of that worked out.
You clearly got the draw drinking bump last week that took you over the hump. I'm sure that's what it was.
Oh yeah.
There was a bump. There was a bump that night.
A bump or a dip in the road. We don't know which one it was, but one or the other. So, hey, Eric.
Hey.
Hi, Alex. I am so sorry. It took me 20 minutes to get here.
Well,
I don't know what's going on.
Listen, you came here all the way from Portland. It's a long way.
You drove to the show?
I drank my first drink the whole time. I mean, I was sipping the whole time I was trying to get on here, and it's gone now. I have to pour a new one.
It's stress drinking.
Man.
That's what this show will do to people. Stress drinking.
Let's do it.
Oh, I should lift it with my right arm.
I guess I'm ready.
Show the guns while I pick up my drink.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know it's dangerous.
That's a dangerous guy.
Well, hey, salut and cheers. L'chaim.
Salut.
Slancha. I'm running out.
Again.
Cheers. Nozdrovia or whatever.
There you go, Nostrovia. Excellent. So I feel that I'm outnumbered by Floridians.
Good.
It's a 3-to-1 Floridian ratio happening right here, and I'm not really comfortable with it. Eric, you're from Florida, right?
I was born there, but I only lived there 6 months.
Oh, that really doesn't count.
Oh, yes, it does.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
That's where I came into. That's where I came into being. My parents conceived me in Florida, and I was born in Florida. So
they rolled out the sheets of vellum. They rolled out the sheets of vellum and conceived the plan. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So, where were you born in Florida?
In Key West.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And, I hadn't been back there until a year and a half ago when I got invited to the Key West Literary Seminar as a speaker. And so I got to go back in style because
wow. I went to Key West on my first honeymoon. I wasn't really married at the time. It was spring break, and the place that we stayed in wouldn't allow spring breakers. So my girlfriend's mother booked us in as newlyweds. So that was our way of getting down into Key West for spring break. So it was lovely. Got to see the cats at Hemingway's house.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Pretty
nice.
Cool. So up in the corner there, Eric, is the Kickstarter page for Jamie and Nick Cagnetti's Kickstarter. Here, I'm gonna embiggen him, and there you go. So just give a little rundown, quick, Jamie, what this is.
The Baboon and Pink Lemonade Jamboree is a crossover indie comic that Nick, the creator of Pink Lemonade, and me, the creator of the Baboon, created. There's a little feedback coming in on my end. Maybe it is completely on my end, and
might be.
I hear a
Eric.
little.
Eric.
I hear a little yada yada in there.
I think there's a button you can click, Eric, that might help that.
What's the button called?
If you go down to the little cog at the bottom of your screen, the cam mic cog, if you click on that, click on audio and try clicking disable audio processing. Why is it me? What are we looking at?
Disable audio process. Click on audio.
Yeah.
Disable. Okay.
Yeah, I just did
How's
the same
that?
thing.
Are we hearing any feedback now? I think we're back.
No, and
How's
I just
that,
put on
David?
headphones, so that might help too.
All right. Then it was your fault.
Sorry, I
Jamie.
guess I'm just a troublemaker.
Good.
Well,
That's what we want.
So,
So-
yeah, it's
so
a
what-
Kickstarter. It's going on until the 7:00 tomorrow night. That's when it ends.
Done.
So it's been up for a month?
It's been up for a month. We are 700-something% funded. We have
Congrats.
205
Congratulations.
backers. It's been the most successful Kickstarter I've ever run, and it's So there you go. There it is. People of this live stream podcast, check it out. You've got 24
Your
hours.
goal of $500 and you made $3,800. That's amazing.
It
Yeah.
was super calculated to do a goal so low. Especially, Nick and I originally were just going to publish the book ourselves and bring it to conventions.
Right.
But 2020 happened. There are no conventions, so we decided to take to Kickstarter, and it was beneficial. So
yeah, I
it's
think
been
it's great. I think it's great. I mean, it's an exciting thing, and I don't know. Have you ventured?
Kickstarter?
Yeah, have you gone to Kickstarter, Eric, or you do everything through your publishing?
I've only run one Kickstarter campaign in my life, and it was for a stage production
Oh,
of an old musical, Oz musical by L. Frank Baum.
okay. Right
It
on.
was, and I still haven't drawn all the rewards that I promised at the time. I have like 3 to go.
Were we not having a
one
very similar discussion earlier, Jamie?
One is right here in process. This is a Kickstarter reward
Nice.
right up here. Oh,
Woo! Why don't
man.
you show someone who's not what they're not getting so far?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Holy
amazing.
cow.
so this is an Oz drawing of all these Oz characters, and I still have to paint it.
What kind of stretch goal was that?
That was the top one. I only offered one initially. It was like for $5,000 donation. We raised about $20,000 for this musical production, and so the top one was $5,000, and there was one available. But then, like, someone else wrote me and said, "Could you make that 2 top ones available?" So I have 2 of those paintings to do still.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, your paintings are
I just
fantastic.
got to get them done. I just got to get them done. Just fit them into my schedule.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, between all the carpentry, you can do it.
Yeah. I was working on electrical today.
There we go.
This is what people are tuning in for, to hear for house building tips.
I did.
You didn't know this, Jamie. We changed the format to this old house.
Listen, I'm here for it. If that's
Okay,
what we're
good.
going to talk about,
Fantastic.
I've got to build a kitchen island. So
Oh, well, okay. Eric will walk you through it. He'll get out his T-square and show you how to render
Right.
draw a plan for this. There you go. Look, he's actually got a T-square. Wow.
I do too.
Whoa.
Whoa. What is this? Okay, Gary, if you break out a T-square, it's a Florida trifecta of T-squares.
Right.
Wow.
This is what I still draw by hand.
I know.
None of this computer stuff for me.
You guys are old school.
I understand.
Hey, old school.
I just ruled out some lettering guides with my
Your Ames
with my
guy.
Ames.
guys.
So
Okay, Eric's gonna pull
here's
his up.
mine.
There you go.
I recently ordered 2 more because I'm afraid they're going to stop manufacturing these. So I would have extras in case anything happens to this one. This is the one I've had since 1981.
Wow.
Is yours, because I have 2 and I have messed up both of the little wheel things, so I've had to tape mine to keep in place. Is yours taped? Is yours taped yet?
It's not taped to keep in place, but it's taped for where's the tape
Okay.
code? Like this says AOB. That's the lettering size for Age of Bronze. So when I letter Age of Bronze, that's the lines I have to line up. So it is taped just to show.
I have a question, just because I've gotten recently really into doing traditional lettering. What do you letter with?
I letter with a rapidograph.
Oh, this is great. I'm loving this conversation. The red one. The red one's the best one.
Well, this is
Damn.
like for normal size lettering.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember. For Age of Bronze, which I do the art a little smaller than. Okay, like I've had like a drink and a half already, and so I don't know. I'm probably gonna ramble, but
Good.
So for most lettering these days, and I do Age of Bronze at a smaller size than standard.
I work smaller as well. What size do you work at? I'm just, this is me just being curious.
Okay. Well, see, like when I started Age of Bronze, I was still working at 10 by 15, which was just going out as the standard size. But it had been standard size through most of the 80s, 10 by 15. So I was talking to Colleen Doran, and she said, I work at 8 by 12. It saves me 30% of my time.
That's what I do.
And I said, great. I want to save 30% of time too. But, I started drawing all my pages smaller, or my Age of Bronze pages smaller, and it didn't save me any time. I just drew smaller.
Yeah.
So I have since expanded my Age of Bronze pages in size because the reproduction looks better if it's bigger and shrunk more. So now I'm doing them 9 by 13 and a half. And I use the brown one. Is that the right brown one for regular size lettering? I use the gray one for what? No, I use the brown one for regular size lettering. I use the red one for bold and no. Okay, sorry. I use the gray one for regular size lettering. I use the red one for bold. That's the number 2.6. The gray is number 0.35, and I use the brown for balloon borders, to draw the balloons.
Yeah.
And the pointers.
I
Does
have
that answer
never
your
used a
question,
rapidograph.
Jamie?
I mean, it does.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's I feel like this is why they brought me on as the third today to talk about weird process of working small.
Yeah, like that, like 30 people in the world like hand letter anymore, and that's all that's going to really care about that. But
I've been using a Pentel rolling writer to do my lettering. I like big letters. I'm a big Eisner fan, so like when I look at old Spirit pages, I'm like, the lettering's huge, and I wanted to make it look huge. So I've been using a Pentel rolling writer for a while, but I just recently got some dip like calligraphy pens that I've been
Yeah.
slowly figuring out how to
Hey,
use.
put some big in that big old pen there. Well, wrong
Well,
one.
traditionally, comics letterers used a B5 and a B6 and a B5.5. These are my old ones.
So B5. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
B5, B6, because I
Yep.
did not
These
get
are
B's.
these are really nice. They give a really smooth line, and the end of a stroke is sort of rounded.
Mhm.
And if you look at old comics lettering, this is what they used. That's what I learned to letter with. I went to the Kubert School. Hi Eisman was the lettering teacher. He used to draw. I mean, what he was drawing at the time was little iodine in the newspaper, but he's drawn tons and tons of stuff. Hi Eisman.
Yes, I'm aware of High Eisman. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
I'm shocked.
no, Jamie is a
all
great
cool.
study of the comic strip history.
I'm really
Cool.
I'm super into old comics.
Yeah. How old
I
is
haven't
old?
read anything. How old is old? This past year I haven't read anything past the 50s.
Okay, well that's not that old.
But going back to like the turn of the century, last time I was on, I talked a lot about, what did I talk about? Crazy Cat? Is that where I started?
You were Crazy Cat. We were talking. I was talking a lot about Scorchy Smith and Noel Sickles, but you were talking sort of before that. The guy.
With Milton Caniff.
Yeah, Kniff and the guys earlier than that.
And Roy Crane. That's where I've been reading a lot of recently.
Kniff isn't earlier than Noel Sickles, though. They're contemporary.
Yeah, but I think Sickles filled in on whatever Kniff was doing. I think that's
Terry and the Pirates. He started doing Terry and the Pirates later, right?
Well, I thought they were in a studio together for a while, right? And
yeah.
The look of Terry and the Pirates totally changed at some point, and it was completely the influence of Noel Sickles.
Yeah. Noel Sickles was one of my absolute favorites. We had I had a great class when I went. Well, Gary and I both went to SVA, and we had we had Bob Stewart, BHOB Stewart, who was he's a great historian of comics and cartoons and cartoon strips, and he's written a few books, so you should definitely check out his books, Jamie. And boy, he brought in all sorts of stuff in the class. One of them being Harvey Kurtzman. He wheeled Harvey into the class one week.
I had Harvey for a teacher one term with Sarah.
That's right. Sarah was his assistant.
Yep.
I forgot about that. I never took his class. But yeah.
Incredibly fortunate. I envy you.
It was awesome.
I went to the Kubert School. All we ever saw was Sergio.
That's not bad.
He was the only guest that we ever had.
Oh, guest. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, SVA just lucked out with some legacy with having, Will Eisner and Harvey Kurtzman teaching at the same time. It was it's kind of an all-star cast at that time. We were lucky.
Very.
But,
yes. Well, I mean, we had Joe Kubert, so
yeah. I mean, no one.
We had Erwin Hazen.
Yeah, he taught at SVA. Yep,
I had him.
Yeah.
Did you have to get your tracing paper out whenever you showed him a finished assignment, or
probably
else he would scribble all over it?
Yeah.
I never took his class. Jamie, why don't you channel Phil, since Phil took Erwin Hazen's class? The question as to what you as Phil did in the Erwin Hazen's class.
Yeah, what did you do, Phil?
Yeah, Phil, what did you do?
You know what? We drew a lot, and we
That's nice.
You know, he just took out his
Alright.
pen and drew on all of our papers.
Oh,
Exactly
okay.
what Eric said.
Remember
you
that.
know?
Yes, you have to get out the tracing paper, or else your work is dead.
You're done for.
Yeah.
I didn't go. I got into the Cubert School and decided not to go at like the last minute.
Wait, are you
It
speaking
was-
as Bill or are you speaking as Jamie?
Oh, I am speaking as Jamie.
Okay, I can tell.
I went up for my interview. I was able to coincide a trip to New York Comic Con and going and having my interview at the Cubert School in the same weekend.
Clever.
And it was the month after Joe Kubert had died,
Oh,
and it was just the biggest. You walked into the room, and the energy in just the staff and the energy of the students was just so low, and I decided not to go and just continue trying and working on my own. But what this comes around to is I started working with Bart Sears, who lives in Tampa. Walked into the comic shop that I was at and was just like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to draw comics. So it worked out fortuitously that he just walked in and was like, I'm going to teach you. And I was like, okay, great. But he did the same thing. He just took out a red pen and drew on pages. So
He was a year behind me. I actually lived in a house with him when I was in my second year and he was in his first year.
was he? I've heard stories. He's told me stories of just like how much of a idiot he was. But I whatever you think he is, whatever you think of Bart, I probably agree with you. So that's
What I think of Bart, I mean, I love Bart. I haven't talked to him, and I saw him at San Diego Comic-Con like maybe 2002. That's the last time I saw him, and I hadn't spoken to him for years before that. But we lived in the same house for a year, for 9 months of the school year. And I mean, I was there when his parents brought him to the house his very first day when we were all moving in to the house we were living in that year. You know, this is public, so I don't know whether I don't know how much I really want to say here.
oh, don't worry. You can
His
say whatever.
his parents reminded me a little bit of American Gothic.
Oh,
Where he was from somewhere in northern New England, and I can't remember where. Was he from upstate New York, or was he from Vermont or New Hampshire or something like that? I can't remember, but it was somewhere in northern New England, or maybe it was upstate New York. They were they didn't say much. They impressed me as very rural. And it was sort of like minor characters in a Stephen King novel.
yeah.
Bart was much more outgoing than his parents were, but I think he was really, really naive when he first got to the Kubert School.
I think all of us are at that period.
So he was probably about 17.
Yeah.
I was 18. Look, this is public, so I don't want to say too much. But I remember
don't want to push you.
I remember some things that I think were his firsts during that year. Also, well, we all drank a lot at the Kubert School, especially on weekends. And Bart drank a lot. Bart drank as much as anybody.
You know what, Eric? We
believe
all went to school with those guys. I know. I certainly did.
But when he started drawing, it was like, oh, I will just slit my wrists, because he was like the best drawer in his year. The same thing happened the next year when I was in my third year, and Lee Weeks was then a first-year student, and it was like,
Oh,
oh
well.
my God, this guy, why does he even go? Why does he even need this school? Like
Yeah.
he's drawing like like Neil Adams quality comics. At least that was the way it was. It impressed me at the time. So
Wow.
whatever.
Yeah, we went to school with some crazy talents. John Paul Leon was one of our classmates, and it really made you question what you were doing in your chosen vocation.
I'm so glad I didn't
Oh, yeah.
go, partly because of that.
Well,
Yeah,
I just drew something. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I don't want to.
I mean, you're up there. You're the guest.
Yeah,
So I drew
Oh,
this
wait.
that's
this
fantastic.
scarecrow drawing, Scarecrow of Oz.
Oh, that's great.
This is
There
like
you go.
my standard
Con sketch.
autograph drawing. When I do autographs, I just usually draw that too. So it's really easy, even if I've been drinking.
Check it out.
So I'll try to draw something better this time.
So Peter Palmiotti says Ralph Bakshi was at his graduation for a speech when he went to the art and design in NYC. That is so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And hey, Peter, how you doing? I don't know if you know. I know. Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love
Hi, Pete.
John Paul's work, Pete?
Isn't
Everyone
he
loves-
partners with Amanda?
No, that's his brother Jimmy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Now Peter's going to stop watching because you just insulted him.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean any insult. Sorry, Peter. Sorry, Peter.
Don't worry, Peter. He's drunk.
Yeah, but
I haven't had anything to eat. I haven't had anything to eat since this morning when I had breakfast, and then I just started
Wow.
drinking. And I was like working on electric all day out in the shop where we're building guest quarters.
Oh man, that's tough.
That is tough.
It's kind of a puzzle. I mean, I go online and I read all about National Electric Code to find out what is allowed and what is not allowed. And then I do it. But it's really hard.
Do it.
yeah, all the trades are pretty hard. None of them are easy. Eric, so you were born in Florida. You got out of Dodge.
Yes.
You got out of Dodge at the ripe age of 6 months. And
Hawaii.
You went to Hawaii.
Yes.
Okay, this is getting better. All right, so is this an Army Navy thing?
My dad was in the Coast Guard, so yeah, he was in the military.
Okay, so he was in the service, and he uproots you guys to the horrible islands of
Right.
Hawaii.
He uprooted us regularly. It was how I grew up. It was what I was used to. I didn't really think anything else. People go, "Oh, wasn't that awful?" And I think I didn't have anything to compare it to. That's just
Sure.
what happens. So, actually, my sister did not like it. After she got to be sort of, after a certain age, like after 10 years old, she really hated moving. She was younger.
Oh.
She's younger than I am. But I was always like, yeah, fine, whatever. We have to move. Yeah, that's just the way life is. Now, I lived in the 90s, I lived in New Jersey for 4.5 years. It was the longest place I'd ever lived anywhere, and it felt really weird. But I've lived places longer than that now, after that. But
Right.
that was sort of the breaking thing where, oh my God, I've lived somewhere longer for more than 3.5 years. My life is now totally different.
Well, I guess you were in. I think you were living in New Jersey when I first met you back in the 90s.
Yes.
Most likely,
that's-
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was living in Bloomfield, New Jersey, right next to
Ooh.
Montclair.
Nice.
Between Newark and Montclair.
It's almost the lovely area of New Jersey.
No, you have to drive an hour. See, the Kubert School was in Dover. That's where Joe lived, in Dover, New Jersey. That was 45 minutes from the Lincoln Tunnel on Route 46. once you got west of Dover, New Jersey is beautiful, but east of that, well, you know, it's New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Well, it's worth writing Grammy-winning albums about, is what I say.
Have you done that?
No, but Bruce Springsteen and John Bon Jovi and others have.
But they're not on right now.
It's
Well,
true.
They are.
haven't joined us.
Where
is Bon Jovi? Why isn't he here?
Next week, surprise, surprise, Bon Jovi's going to be on.
Alex, shh.
Oh, sorry, don't want to blow it. So now you moved around a bunch as a youth. Is it safe to say that comic books were sort of a constant for you? That one's aimed at you.
Once I got to about 7 years old, yeah. After that, they were a constant.
Yeah.
Although, you know, once I was the first comics I ever read on any regular basis was Tintin, because it was serialized in Children's Digest,
Yes.
which was this monthly magazine. And my grandmother, for my 5th birthday, gave me a subscription to it. I think it was my 5th birthday. Might have been my 4th birthday. I can't remember. I still have all the Children's Digest magazines out.
God.
They're stored in a bin in the shop, which is where we're building the guest quarters right now. So I was reading The Adventures of Tintin from like 5 years old. Well, I wasn't reading them. My mother had to read them to me because I couldn't read yet. But then when I was about 7 years old, some of my parents' friends came, and they had kids who were about my age and my sister's age, and they had some Hot Stuff comics. That's the ones I remember. And so I was like, I loved them, and I'm like, I want these. I want some too. So I told my dad, can we go to 7-Eleven where they sell comics? And my dad said,
Yes.
Sure.
7-Eleven.
And I bought an issue of Casper for 15 cents, I think. And that was it, you know. Harvey Comics for about 4 or 5 years, maybe a little more than 4 or 5 years there, were like an absolute obsession for me. I had to, every Sunday after church, we needed to stop at 7-Eleven, and I would spend my allowance on some sort of Harvey comic. You know, I had explored a little. I had bought Archie. I bought an issue of Astonishing Tales from Marvel, starring Khazar and Doctor Doom. I think it was issue number 4. I don't know. It was drawn by the Khazar story was drawn by Barry Smith. And I mean, at 7 or 8 years old, I had no idea.
Right.
But I read it and I didn't like it. It was written by Roy Thomas. I mean, it was in that overwrought, overwritten style of Marvel at the time, which was really, really repellent to an 8-year-old. So yeah. I was like, forget this Marvel stuff. Also, my mother did not like that type of comic.
Sure.
When my sister bought an issue of Justice League, about 74 or 75, and I think it was issue number 114 that had Amazo on the cover, standing on the Justice League, and they were all lying on the ground, and he was standing over them going, "I've killed the Justice League." So this really disturbed my mother. And she sat my sister down separately, and then she sat me down separately from my sister and said, you know, I'm not telling you cannot buy these, but this disturbs me, and I don't really like them, and I don't approve of them. So although she did not forbid them, of course, there was this dampening effect, at least on me, who was very, I obeyed my parents generally. I wanted to be a functional part of society. And my parents were reasonable people who usually communicated their reasons for any kind of objections they had. And they still are reasonable people for the most part. So I stopped buying. I didn't buy stuff like that. I bought Harvey comics. I loved Harvey comics. Richie Rich. Richie
Yep.
Rich was like my ultimate, oh, I need Richie Rich comics. And I would like obsess over them. And I still have them. I still have most of them that I bought.
One of my
Anyway,
early ones. Oh yeah, go ahead.
am I just going, I told you I would ramble if I drank,
No.
and I drank. I've been drinking, so I'm
This
rambling.
is sort of like this. Well, we're you're sort of dovetailing into our new approach of like sort of buying into drunk history. So we'll just do, but everyone's telling their own drunk history.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm being rude. I'm being really, really self-indulgent. And I told most of this to the Comics Journal when they interviewed me.
yeah.
So I don't want to repeat too much.
Well,
Anyway,
they're not as fun as we are.
well, they are not. Who's
We,
laughing? Alex, is that you laughing?
No, that's Gary. Gary is the audio commentary during the show.
Okay.
I got 3 comics for my first comics as a kid, and one of them was I think they were like Key Comics or something, but Baby Snoots was a little
Gold
tiny
Key. Baby Snoots, he was a little elephant.
elephant, yeah.
Yeah.
And I still have that comic book. I love that. I loved that comic book as a kid. Here's a question. You saw that you had this Barry Smith comic book, and do you have a sense that exposure, even if it's unknowledgeable exposure to really high quality art at a young age, leaves an impression regardless of, like, I remember as a kid I'd look at Kirby comics, I go whatever, as a little kid, but I still kept them and I read them over and over again. And I don't think I knew why I was doing that. But now in retrospect, I wonder if that is that your mind does know that it's something of value.
No, I don't know. Because you have the art and you have the story. And I remember reading Kirby Lee Fantastic Four stuff when I was, a young teenager. I remember reading some of it when I was still in elementary school. And there was so much it felt like a lot of substance and a lot of power. But, I read them now and I'm like, oh yeah, I see how Stan Lee was overwriting to try to
trying to match
Kirby's drawings.
Yep.
Because he would just draw whatever he would draw. I think he would choose to draw the most exciting, the most powerful scenes, but they didn't necessarily make story sense all the time.
Right.
The example that I always think of is there's some Fantastic Four where the Torch says, I need to use my new cold fire power. And it's like, oh, well, obviously Kirby was just not paying attention to what was exactly going on, all the fine points in this story. And so Stan Lee had to think up some way to make it work. So he's like, oh, my new cold power fire. And it doesn't, when you know the process of how those comics were created, it does not work. It's like, oh yeah, Kirby turned in these pages and Lee had to figure out how to make it work. But as a child reading those, you don't think about that. You just are caught up in the story.
Yes.
So, I remember reading the first Galactus saga, those 3 issues with Silver Surfer, and I was just like blown away when I was about 14 years old. I read them in reprint, I'm not that old.
No. You look great if you are.
And and now, you know, it's just not the same as an adult, knowing how comics work, how those comics were created, knowing what was potential at the time. It just isn't, it doesn't quite make it for me.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get lots of people hating me for this, but
No, that's good. We need more attention on the show.
We need hate.
Bring the heat. Just bring the heat, Eric. That's what we want. Yeah, I know. I got you. I understand the sort of the framework of what you're saying there, because I certainly have my share of the sort of like the big reprint collections of some older books, and I don't think this whole level of sort of it was very melodramatic is the word I would use for a bulk of the story writing and action, and that's okay. As a
no,
child,
melodrama is fine. Melodrama is a good thing, as long as, you know, as long as your mindset at the beginning is, I'm going to create melodrama. Melodrama is good. It works.
yeah,
It hits the points, and it produces a reaction in your reader, and that's the whole thing. Communicating to the reader is what you want.
sure,
Communicating successfully to the reader is what you want. So if you're doing melodrama, it's fine to say, I'm doing melodrama, and you hit the points that make it melodrama, and if that works with the reader, then you've successfully created melodrama.
yeah,
Marvel Comics in the 60s was, you know, an artist drawing this stuff. Well, this is my take. I mean, someone like Ditko or Kirby would go in and discuss the story with Stan Lee, and Stan Lee would give both of them like a few sentences maybe, and say, well, this month it's going to be about blah blah blah, and they would go home and they would draw the stories, and we have Kirby's dialogue written in all the margins. I mean, we have photocopies of these, so it's clear what happened. And then Lee would get the art, and he would have to dialogue it. And whether it made sense or not, he would make it make sense. And sometimes that was not really sensible.
yeah.
Like, here's my new cold fire power. What?
Well, show us your new cold fire power.
Do it.
So
So I'm sorry. What was my point? What was your point?
well, no, I was kind of moving us along. And so you're buying.
That's good.
You're loving Harvey comics. You're living in Hawaii. You're surfing. You're
No. I lived in Hawaii until I was 5 years old. Then we moved to Monterey, California, where I went to first grade. Then we moved to Laurel, Maryland. That's where I sort of discovered Harvey Comics.
That's where you started surfing.
Right. Yeah.
So
Comic surfing.
comic surfing, that's a whole new thing, comic surfing. So you get into comic books, and you sort of have the interest in sorry, just and wait, hold on.
My lame drunk drawings.
Ooh.
Hey, is that a Jughead type character?
No.
No. It's kind of got that nice smile,
This is like what I would draw while I'm on the phone, when I'm just doodling on the phone,
Doing in pen. Okay. Pen is showing off, Eric. We have to use pencils or crayons in this. Make us not look so
What?
bad.
I'm sorry. I didn't get the email for that.
You didn't read the fine print. So
Didn't get the email for it.
well, sorry. Might have been a clerical error on my end here.
Might be.
So what? So what? I mean, what was it that made you say, "Hey, this is what I want to do"? I mean, what age were you saying I really want to be a creator in comic books? Because you went to.
I was in ninth grade.
Okay.
Justice League of America was my very favorite comic. This was just after Steve Englehart stopped writing it. I can't remember who was writing it. Probably Jerry Conway. They were still the 52 pages for
35 cents.
35 cents. Was it 35 cents
Maybe.
then?
What year?
This was like 1977, 78.
Oh, damn. That was like
You're 25 cents.
25 cents, definitely.
That was for the regular size comics. Justice League was giant size for a long time.
Probably 35 cents then.
35 or 50.
Yeah.
I think it was probably 50 cents.
They're fleecing us.
I mean, I still have them all.
This is a recurring theme.
Having them all is impressive.
These were my favorite comics.
No, I get it.
Just before I discovered X-Men.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I have to do. This is my. I was living in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, when I was in ninth and 10th grade.
What you got, Jamie? You got anything good? Go ahead. No, you're just dropping all these great places to live. So okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, my father got transferred there when I was 13 years old. Yeah.
Oh.
So I did 9th and 10th grade there.
Come on back, Eric.
The best.
Did he fall asleep?
What?
He's taking.
I'm still here.
No, I know. Your image froze. You were like this. It was perfect. It looked like you took a quick nap. You're okay now.
Okay.
So you're in Guantanamo Bay. You're going to the PX and you're buying comic books.
The Mini Mart.
Okay.
The Mini Mart was. I mean, the Exchange at first, but then they had the Mini Mart too, and they got better comics at the Mini Mart. Okay. I don't know why, because it's like. I don't understand their distribution system to military bases, but whatever. I mean, I bought Shazam numbers like 18, 19, 20, and 21 all at the same time because that's what they had.
Sure, right.
On the shelf of the Mini Mart. Yeah, so I was going there and I was like getting out of Richie Rich. Richie Rich, I still bought a few, like right after we moved there. I was still buying Richie Rich, but I was also buying Justice League and Shazam. And that's where I switched over totally to Marvel and DC.
Okay. And that was the X-Men?
No. What?
Was it the X-Men?
Yeah. That's where I discovered X-Men. Some guy, I can't remember his name. He was like, yeah, I have the John Byrne page number blank 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 from issue blank blank of X-Men. And I'm like, well, maybe I should check this out. That's where I also discovered Howard the Duck.
Oh yeah, great. Oh yeah,
good guy. I was like looking at the spinner rack in the Mini Mart, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta buy Howard the Duck." And I'm like, "Howard the Duck, whatever. Okay, I'll buy Howard the Duck." So I did.
Whatever.
And I think you made a good choice there.
So then this was the Byrne Claremont years.
Yep.
First X-Men issue I bought was the first full Alpha Flight issue.
Right, the Vindicator issue.
No, not the Vindicator issue. That was a couple issues before. This was like 118 or 119.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. I can't remember for sure. I've still got it. They're out in the shop.
I got those. Those I have still.
So, but that was in '79. That was spring of '79.
Mm-hmm.
When I first bought X-Men, they had what do you call them? A flea market kind of thing.
Okay.
Most like maybe once a month at McCalla Field, which was this old. It was this huge building. I don't know what it used to be. some kind of airplane hangar. This was in Gitmo, so there were lots of old things that weren't in use anymore, because this was the 70s in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
Yeah.
And they weren't imprisoning anybody there on the other side of the bay.
Tell that to your sister.
What?
So tell that to your sister.
My sister loved Gitmo. I hated it.
Oh, okay.
My sister had really good friends there. She was in junior high at the time. She had really good friends there, friends that one friend she's still in contact with and like spends every other Christmas with.
Cool. So you're getting your comic jam on. You're getting into the Byrne Claremont X-Men, and
I'm telling you that at McCalla Field, about once a month they had this huge flea market, and there was this one kid who I was in 10th grade, he was in 8th grade. His uncle was the cleaner on ships. So he would get all these comics that, the sailors on all these ships would like leave behind. So almost every comic for like 6 months past, you could buy from him for 10 cents on this sheet that he put out in McCalla Hangar at the flea market. And there were stacks and stacks of them. Like, I don't know how many stacks you could get on a standard bed sheet. You'd put it on a standard bed sheet, and there would be like stacks this high, and you just go through them. 10 cents a piece. So I bought back issues of X-Men, back issues of Spider-Man, which I later got rid of. And I'm sorry I did that. Back issues of everything. I mean, there was stuff. It was usually just stuff from the mid-70s. Up until like 78, 79. But it was the first place I ever saw anything called New Gods. And I was like, what is New Gods? And I bought it. And it was like issue 9 of New Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was Forever. Maybe it was Forever People. And I didn't know what this was. But I found out later. Now I have the whatever DC put out, the collected editions, which are totally recolored and beautiful. The Mr. Miracle collected edition is really beautiful as far as the color goes. Anyway, okay, what was your question again?
Well, so how did you transition from being like an obsessive collector to making the choice? Like, was there an individual that you came across in your life who encouraged you, discouraged you, showed you a window?
No. It was while I was living in Gitmo, and I was like, I want to draw Justice League of America. That's what I want to do. And I decided I was going to do that. I remember in high school, I was in 9th and 10th grade in Gitmo. In 10th grade, I remember like career days in school, and they would like tell you, they would give there were lots of different opportunities, and they would bring people in from many different professions and who would talk to you. And my total focus was, I'm going to be a cartoonist. I'm going to be a professional cartoonist. I'm going to draw comic books. I want to draw Justice League of America. That's what I want to do. I don't care what anybody else says. That's what I'm going to do. I remember some girl in my Spanish class was like, you're going to draw comic books? And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
En español. Can you say it in Spanish?
Un poco.
There you go. It's close enough.
Uno is one. Un poco.
Excellent. So you dropped the gauntlet.
Un poco.
So you dropped the gauntlet on this 10th grader, and you're like, I'm going to go draw comic books.
No, I knew from that point that I was going to be a professional cartoonist.
Did you rub it?
We moved back to the States. 11th and 12th grade, I was living in Novato, California. And about, spring of 11th grade, my parents were like, well, you need to start thinking about what you're going to do after high school. You need to start thinking about college. And I started ordering all these, college catalogs and things. And I said, I want to go to the Kubert School.
No.
And my parents were a little bit like, well, are you sure? Because you don't get a degree or anything. All you get is like a certificate for a trade school. But I'm like, no, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. I want to be a professional cartoonist. And at the time, I was thinking, I do not want to go to college. I do not want to write any more papers about things that I'm really not interested in. All I want to do is draw comics, and I'm tired of going to high school and having to interrupt my days for 7 or 8 hours, not being able to draw comics, because I was drawing comics ever since I was like 9 years old.
Right.
And I have all my most of my childhood comics somewhere, maybe in the shop, maybe in here in storage. I don't know where they are now. They're out in the shop in a filing cabinet. So that's what I wanted to do. I did not want to fucking waste.
Okay.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I did not want to effing waste my time anymore studying stuff that I was not interested in. All I wanted to do was write and draw my own comics.
Yeah.
When I was in 12th grade that year, I took out an ad in the comics price guide, Overstreet price guide.
Yep.
I was going to do my own comic. I called it a fanzine because I really didn't know what a fanzine was at the time. But it's like, I'm going to publish my own fanzine. And I actually did art, about 5 or 6 pages of artwork for it. And took out an ad in Overstreet price guide and started getting money from people to buy the comic that never got published. I finally had to refund all their money about a year later.
I love this. I love this.
It was when I got to the Kubert School. As soon as I got there, it was like I have to refund all their money, so I did.
Did
There was
you?
only like
Did you?
4 or 5 people who actually sent me money for this fanzine that never happened. I'm sure I have all the artwork somewhere.
Did you use that artwork as your submission to the Kubert School? No.
Possibly, I don't remember. What I remember submitting for sure to I had been doing all these comics since I've been doing this comic. It was about 12 issues long by that time, called The S&W Players. I had 3 comics series going. Went from about age 10 or 11 to about age 17. And I'm sure I must have sent some of those to the comics, to the Kubert School for my portfolio. What I really remember doing, especially for the portfolio, was doing these pictures of characters from the Chronicles of Narnia. I remember the White Witch picture from Lion the Witch from the Wardrobe. I don't know if I still have that. I don't know. A lot of my artwork from high school has been lost somewhere. So I'm not sure I still have that.
Well,
Am I supposed to be drawing? I'm talking too much. I can't draw and talk at the same time.
No. Well, you've already done like 4 faces, and Gary's just been coloring a belly of a big monster. So I mean, don't worry, you're ahead of the game. So how did you go through how many years did you go through at the Kubert School? 2, 4?
3.
3. And
it was a three-year program,
right,
when I went there.
And then what was your springboard from the Kubert School into the ranks of air quote professional comic books?
Well, during my last semester there, which was spring of '84, I was really panicking because I was like, I have to, in a few months, I'm going to have to support myself completely. My parents were still sending me money every month while I was at school, but whether it was justified or not, I had the idea that as soon as I graduated, my parents were not going to send me money anymore. So I had to support myself.
Okay, that's fair.
So I was like, I have to get a job. So during my last semester at the Kubert School, I was sending out portfolios and going into New York, having interviews at DC and Marvel for the most part. This was 1984. So the direct market had really started in 1981, 82, when comics, for the most part, were no longer sold in like mom and pop 5 and dime stores,
Right.
and comic stores were like were now the thing were the place where you could get comics. So all these new companies had started up. Like the first one, I think, well, there was Eclipse that started in the late 70s, but then Pacific was the first one that I remember with a real splash.
Yep.
And then First Comics, and there were a few others. First Comics was the first one where I really got consistent work. My first professional job was lettering an issue of Warp.
Yeah.
Which was based on a stage play. I lettered the last 2 issues of that. Adam Kubert was in my class.
Okay.
At the Kubert School. Adam and Andy were both in my class. And Adam, they were both professionally lettering at the time. I think Andy was lettering professionally since he was 12.
Showy.
But yeah. During my third year on Fridays, High Eisman's class was just this sort of free-for-all period where you could do whatever you wanted. Everybody would work on assignments from other classes, but Adam and Andy would often letter their professional work. So I remember Adam lettering Firestorm a lot during that period. So I thought, oh, if I got in as a professional lettering could be my in to being a professional comics artist.
Right.
So I decided that I would get in by lettering. So that was my first job, lettering a couple issues, lettering 2 issues of Warp, lettering
Smart.
2 issues of Star Slayer, which was
I love Star Slayer,
which was Mike Grell, a Mike Grell property.
Mike
And
Grell.
of course, everything got canceled after I lettered 2 issues.
Damn it.
Ron Randall was doing this miniseries, Conqueror of the Barren Earth, a 4-issue miniseries, and he had been a Kubert School graduate a couple years before I went there. Great guy. Ron Randall, extremely nice guy. I love Ron. He lives in Portland now, so I see him, I don't know, once in a while. So I was lettering for DC because I lettered the issues 2, 3, and 4 for that. I don't know why I think Ron didn't like the letterer for the first issue, so he brought me on. And since I was new and I lived like half a mile from him at the time, he could like tell me what to do.
That sounds right. I would do that too.
But the first professional drawing job I got, the first professional lettering job I got was from First. It was Warp. It was the 2 days before graduation from the Kubert School. The next professional job I got for drawing was 1 day before graduation from the Kubert School, and it was drawing a story for New Talent Showcase. I had been up to DC and had an interview with Len Wein.
Cool.
He brought me over to the office of
Barbara Zakis.
What is her? No. What's her name?
Jeanette Kahn.
No, not Jeanette Kahn. Like Vertigo.
Why am I blanking? Come on, Jamie.
Oh, I was just talking about earlier today too.
Come on.
I need something more to drink. I'm gonna pour myself another drink.
Smart.
I follow her on Twitter. How am I blanking on her name? Karen.
She
Karen,
she does
Karen
she has
Berger.
an intern at DC.
I
now.
got it before you. I win.
Oh, Jesus.
Karen Berger.
Karen Berger, of course. Why couldn't I remember her name? Anyway, Len took me over to Karen Berger's office. She was editing New Talent Showcase at the time. I think she was also editing Swamp Thing and Legion of Superheroes at the time. At that moment, when Len Wein brought me into her office, she was in an interview with Mindy Newell.
Yay! I love Mindy.
So I came in, showed her my portfolio. Mindy also looked at my portfolio at the same time. Mindy had written this script for this race car story, sort of romance race car story. And so the next day or whenever, I got a call from Karen. She said, "Would you draw this story?" I said, "Fine, yes, of course I'll draw it. I'll draw whatever you want me to draw. I'll draw. I want a job." That was my second job. So that was my first professional drawing job as in comics.
Yeah.
A story called Found and Lost in New Talent Showcase number 9, I think. Anyway, I got to draw the cover too. Carl Kiesel inked it.
Wow.
Karen Berger told me that one of the main figure's foot, one of his feet looked a little odd, and would I be okay with the inker altering it? And I didn't think it looked odd, but I was like, fine, whatever. And then when it actually got published, it wasn't altered. So whatever. Thanks, Carl.
Nice.
He didn't think it looked odd either.
He was probably
I think that was actually my first published professional work, although I had actually done lettering previous to that.
It happened to come out.
I also did a story for Creepy. Harris Publications had bought Eerie and Creepy.
Yeah.
And that was very soon in there at the time too.
That's cool. So I mean, you're really well known for your own work. Like, when did you start like saying, "Hey, I really have my own"? Clearly you were doing issue after issue of your own comics as a child, and as a teen, a child, a tween, and a teen. When did you say, "I really want to do my own thing," and how did you go about doing that?
During my third year in the Kubert School, I decided I wanted to do my own Oz comic series monthly based on the Oz books by L. Frank Baum.
Yeah.
So I started developing a proposal. Graphic novels sort of started in the early 80s. I think the first, what was the first graphic novel? Well, we sort of date graphic novels from Contact with God in '78.
Yeah.
By Will Eisner, but that's not actually the first graphic novel, but it's the first graphic novel actually called a graphic novel and sort of marketed as a graphic novel.
Right.
But there was the Lost, what was that?
God.
There was some fantasy science fiction series of graphic novels that started in the early 70s. And I can't remember the artist or the title of the series, but it was graphic novels. Lost Kingdom? It was something like that, but that's not quite right. I can't remember.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember seeing these things, the various I'll call proto graphic novels that, were coming out in the late, and I kind of feel like those magazine size things that Marvel was doing was kind of leading towards that. When they said, "Hey, we're going to do a whole showcase here of Starhawk or whatever," and it felt very different at the time.
It was called First Kingdom, and Bud Plant published it.
Good old Bud Plant. Wow.
And it was started in the early mid 70s.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was like the first graphic novel series. Then Death of Captain Marvel came out in 82 or something like that?
Yeah, around 82, 81, 82. Yep. I cried.
And DC published like 3 graphic novels all at once.
Okay.
One of them was Hunger Dogs, and then there were a few that were actually written by legitimate science fiction authors.
Dropping the heat against comic book writers. Okay, go ahead.
And then First Comics, who I had been inking Nexus for and doing lettering for,
Yep.
started their own graphic novel series, and it was really weird if you think of it into terms of today, because they would start these series, and it would be like graphic novel number 1 and graphic novel number 2, and they would have nothing to do with each other. They weren't a series. They were just, this is the second graphic novel we're publishing, so we're going to call it number 2, even though it has nothing to do with number 1.
Right.
Anyway, so graphic novels were like the wave of the future in 1985. And I'd been doing jobs for First Comics, and trying to sell this proposal for an Oz graphic novel series. Actually, I don't know. I mean, how much time do we have here? I mean, I could go on and on. We have 2 more minutes.
No, you don't have to go into great detail. It's just like, what was but the Oz thing, which has sort of been sort of I would say a mainstay in your sort of oeuvre, definitely. So it was a clear early thing that you wanted to do.
Yes, I've been an Oz fan ever since I was 6 years old, and I started writing my own Oz stories when I was like 8, and I decided that when I grew up, I was going to write and illustrate my own Oz books.
After you did the Justice League?
No. This was before the Justice League.
Oh, okay. So,
it was at the Kubert School when I finally decided, I'm not going to write and draw and illustrate Oz books. I'm going to do Oz comics.
There's your answer, Eric, is on the screen. Demon with the Glass Hand.
Right.
One of the graphic novels, yeah.
Yeah, from DC at the time, yeah.
So you had this sort of this need to do the Oz stuff. You're working for a couple different companies. You're starting yourself out, and we agree, Peter. Eric is a great guest. You pitched? Who bought? Like, who picked up your first thing to do? Was it First?
Well, first I signed a contract with First for the Oz graphic novels.
Yeah.
Warp was also interested. Wendy and Richard Peeney.
Yep.
They were interested. I had by that time. Okay, this is my one big problem with the Kubert School. They had a business of art class taught by John Belfi, who had drawn comics. He had drawn lots of comics. He had done a comic strip in the 50s and 60s called Straight Arrow. He knew his stuff from mid 20th century, but by the time you got to the 80s, he was a little behind the times.
Sure. Yeah.
So my one big problem with the Kubert School is they do not teach you how to be your own business manager.
Yeah, no, that's
most art schools don't do that.
No, I mean, SVA did nothing for us. They barely got us a portfolio through, and out the door we went.
When I was at the Kubert School, that's when all the royalty deals started happening at DC and Marvel, and it's like, you've got to be aware of what's going on, and you've got to know what your rights are and be able to protect them.
Yeah.
So I didn't know enough, so I didn't hire, but I signed a contract with Mike Friedrich to be my agent.
Yep.
He was agenting lots. He had just started agenting comics like about 1981, 80 or 81. I don't know. He was still new to the agent business.
The racket.
And I didn't really know any other. There were no other comics agents per
No,
se at the
there
time. So I
weren't.
signed with him, and he negotiated the contract with First for my Oz graphic novels. And I started drawing. I started writing them. Let's see. It was summer '85 when I was developing the outline and writing the script. Started drawing them October 1st, 1985, the first one. Mike negotiated the contract for the first two. So I had this graphic novel contract negotiated by my agent at the time.
Yeah.
What was your question again?
Well, no, I mean, so it was first. So that was where you first did your own work, your own story, your own art of what you wanted to do was with First.
Sort of. I mean, I had written and drawn a story for Talent, New Talent Showcase morphed into Talent Showcase.
Yeah.
Under Sal Amendola at DC.
Once again, another one of our teachers.
He took over that book app. What?
He was one of our teachers.
Yeah, he taught at SVA as well.
Yep.
He was great. He's
great. Fantastic. Yes.
But let me give a shout out to Jose Delbo.
Okay. Shout out.
Jose Delbo is a great theoretical cartoonist. He was instructor at the Kubert School.
Yeah. I want that title.
He was drawing Wonder Woman for years and years. I did not like his Wonder Woman very much before I went to the Kubert School. But as far as the nuts and bolts of cartooning and being able, just thinking about how to approach a page, how to approach a script, how to communicate to the reader, he is the best teacher I've ever had for that. Yeah. I just want to emphasize that Jose Delbo was excellent, great, wonderful, superb, whatever superlative you can think of. That applies to Jose Delbo as far as approaching a comics page.
Well, I think if we're all fortunate and lucky enough, we get at least one person in our run, especially early in our life of a career, to give us that sort of wealth of knowledge and accessibility to sort of advance our mind, because listen, the manual skills take time to develop. You're not going to be able to get a clean brush line, even if the greatest brush artist in the world tells you what to do. It's going to take repeated practice to get that line. But to be able to understand what you need to think about is the real magic that someone can teach you in those respects. So Jose, shout out. So
he was also drawing the Phantom comic strip at the time, newspaper comic strip.
How like Gary, how circuitous is all this? We had a previous guest who it actually was the artist for the Phantom comic strip in the early 90s, early to mid 90s.
Who was that?
Eric Dozier. So Eric has done a dearth of DC Special Projects artwork over the years. So lots of product design and packaging. He's a I don't know what you want to call him. He's a conceptual artist for Gearsoft or Gearbox video games.
Video game.
Yeah. Super talented. It's the highly talented Erics that we've had on the show. So okay, I'm trying to get you into you're doing all the Oz stuff. You've done so much with the Oz upon yourself and working with Scotty. Like it has been we're gonna have to have you on again just to kind of go.
I'm always involved in some Oz project. I'm still involved in some Oz project. It's just very different, and it's not always comics.
Right.
I did 5 Oz graphic novels for For first comics in the late 80s and 90s, Dark Horse published the last one after the first one out of business.
Okay.
I've done 6 with Scotty. They
Yep.
were adaptations of the L. Frank Baum, the original Oz books.
Mm-hmm.
Those were for Marvel in the late aughts and
Yep.
teens, and they were an incredibly positive experience.
Yeah.
I'd love to do more. I don't know if Scotty would love to do more. I kind of doubt he would love to do more because, he's done them. It's sort of over
Yeah.
for him. But I'm the major Oz fan, so I would do more.
Well, so how did you hook up with Scotty in that respect? Did you?
I didn't hook up with Scotty. Marvel put us together.
Wow. Wow.
I got an email from Chris. I don't remember for sure. I got an email from Marvel saying this was for their Marvel Illustrated line, which was their adaptations of classic literature, and they wanted to do The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, great, fine. Well, no, I wasn't great, fine at the beginning. I was like, oh. They only asked me to write it. They did not ask me to draw it.
Okay.
Which was okay, because I would have probably turned them down if they asked me to draw it, because I would not have had enough time to work on an Age of Bronze if I had to draw these Oz things. But I did not know Scotty's work at the time. He had been working for Marvel. He had been drawing some Human Torch and some X-Men book.
It had an X in it. It's all that matters.
X Babies, X something or other.
Was it?
I can't remember.
Before that time, did he do New Warriors? And that was what I.
That's what I remember first seeing. That's when I remember first seeing Scotty was doing New Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know.
After that, he started doing Oz. I know for a fact he did it before Oz, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know his career in any kind of chronological order before Oz, because when Marvel told me we've asked Scotty to draw it, I did a internet search for him for his artwork, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's so stylistically different than what you do, as in your art, but I think it was an interesting combination, like sort of. It felt like like music producers, like, hey, you know what? Like, what we really need to do is we need to get this crazy guitarist in here to play on your album, and I just kind of feel that like Scotty lent some really interesting sort of change, because your work is like just amazing draftsmanship. I mean, that's what I've always sort of seen about everything you've done. And to see sort of this kind of loose cannon sort of style of cartooniness that Scotty lends to everything, it was an interesting combination between the two, of the way you tell stories. Because even when you write, the way you tell a story is the way you tell a story. So I think that's pretty unique. Yeah. So but it sounds like you enjoyed it, which is cool.
Oh, it was a wonderful project. I wish it had gone longer.
Yeah.
Both for the money and for the creative aspect.
Yeah.
When I first saw Scotty's artwork for the project, I was really happy. When Marvel asked me, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know who Scotty was.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether Dorothy was going to have big tits and like a machine gun, which, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? Right.
What was your question, Jamie?
How many books did you end up adapting?
6.
6.
Wow.
How many books are there?
In the official series, there are 40.
Holy cow.
But
I think I've only read 4 or 5.
Okay.
L. Frank Baum wrote 14.
Okay.
Then the publisher, after he died, the publisher contracted with other writers to write other Oz books.
With Frank L. Baum.
L. Frank Baum. Lyman Frank Baum is
Right.
his full name. Oh, don't get me started.
No. I was just saying I was making the publisher out to be a bit of a scam artist of having Frank L. Baum do the keep writing just to confuse people. So okay, great. So and then I guess we're gonna have to truncate this to a degree. But then Age of Bronze. Let's just try to dovetail some Age of Bronze.
Oh, you're gonna get Age of Bronze in the last 3 minutes. Thanks.
Well, I mean,
Alex.
like, why not? Well, come on. I mean, all right, fine. Do you want to come on back again, and we'll go in more detail in the Age of Bronze?
I would be happy to.
Okay.
But I've had like 3 drinks on an empty stomach right now, and I am a lightweight.
Yeah. Well, you could prepare a little better next time, maybe with like some hors d'oeuvres or something.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Something classy from some salumiere from some downtown Portland. I know you don't go to downtown Portland right now.
I am not going to downtown currently. They are abducting people in downtown.
Yeah, we want to keep you around, so don't go downtown.
Don't go there.
So, Gary, you had something that we wanted to show this week. We have a little bit of we have a little bit of a premiere here on the show. So if you guys
this is for the 50th show.
For the 1
year anniversary that we missed.
Yeah, well, there's technical difficulties.
Difficulties.
Your eyes onto the screen and your ears onto your speakers. Take a gander at what we have.
You want to see something funny?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I love how Jamie's paying attention. All right, here we go.
I am.
Fuck you! Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Drink and Draw Social Hour with Phil Avelli, Gary Duffner, and me, Alex Morrissey. And tonight, we have a very special guest.
It's the aliens, I tell you. You thought it was the laundry, but no, it's the laundry.
Whoa, what the hell is this?
It's a freaking sock.
Alex, you booked a sock for the show? They don't have hands. They can't even draw.
Hey guys, we're all socks. You're not guys in a drawing show.
Hey John, what's up with those socks?
Hey Dave, they think they're on a drawing show.
I just hope we're not in the Red Hot Chili Peppers dressing room.
Because I'm wearing a tinfoil hat. So they won't...
Fuck you! She walked out with empty arms. She got in her hand.
Thank you, Gary.
I love it.
Gary writes and produces the Sock You series on YouTube. So I appreciate my being, I guess, I don't know, turned into a sock.
You're a sock now.
Nice. Never thought I'd be a sock, but I made it to being a sock.
Phil wrote the episode.
Yeah, Phil couldn't be here tonight, but he was here in sock spirit.
Yes.
So we're pretty pleased.
But Jamie has him. He's channeling Phil.
That's right. Jamie's
dead ringer.
Tonight. I forgot.
Dead ringer.
You are a dead ringer. But Eric, we're gonna have to have you back on to go through your 90s.
Yeah.
And your and my great collaboration on what did we work on?
It was a story for Gangland.
There you
which is
go.
published by Vertigo, DC.
Yep. Nice. Our edgy work that we did together. Just
I'm gonna have to come back for that episode.
Written by Ed Brubaker, and I was like, and the editor was Axel Alonso.
good old
And he
Axel.
said, "Who do you have any suggestions for who to color this?" And I'm like, Alex Morrissey. And so that's who colored it.
That's right. I don't even. I think I colored that maybe with markers. I don't
Oh
know.
wow.
Can't remember.
I don't have any idea.
Neither do I.
All I saw was the final printed project.
Yeah.
Printed.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about Age of Bronze, which is my thing.
It's your tour de force.
Next
I'm
time.
really interested in Age of Bron. I'm gonna have to come back when he's on.
Hold on a second. We got to embiggen you here. Oh, there's Helen.
Oh my God.
Is that Paris? Hector?
No.
No. You like saying no to me, don't you?
I love saying no
No.
to you.
Yeah. I'm used to it at this point.
What?
I said I'm used to it being no,
What?
so it's fine. I'm all
What?
right with it. I'm okay. So, but we're gonna have to have you on because we're running late now. So we'll have to have you on, and we'll take off. We'll pick up right where we left off, and we're just gonna crank on forward to where we are today.
Okay.
You have
Sound
to have
good?
Jamie back too on that.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yes,
somehow.
Jamie, ask me more questions about actual, tools and things.
Yes.
I can do that. I actually have a lot of questions about Age of Bronze and tools used for it. So
Okay. So, all right.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to reconvene this whole thing. There you go. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is
He's showing his tools.
I'm gonna put the two of you. There we go. I'm gonna put the two of you into contact with each other because I think Jamie, you definitely need to learn a few of Eric's tricks because he is the
Making contacts since 2019.
yeah.
This is what I ink with.
The Hunt, right?
Yeah, Hunt 22.
Is that a crow quill?
Is it B? I don't know. I just called them the same thing. I'm so totally paranoid that this company is going to stop manufacturing them.
Right.
I buy my brushes in bulks of 10 every single time at this point. I have to.
Yeah, I buy my Cintiq tablets the same way.
What?
So, all right, guys. So, it's been great, Gary. Let's take a look what you got there.
Oh,
Can you make your whole thing like? I don't know. So what? There we go.
Oh,
nice.
Okay. The
Gary likes to do mosh-ups of some guests. So a couple for our holiday.
This is Amanda Semler's Yeti or Forces. Yeti or not.
Yeti or not mixed with Gary's United Forces. It looks great, Gary.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, the Bumble is nice.
The Bumble. From Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
The Bumble. Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, what you know what you've been working on, Jamie?
I've been doing some baboon comic strip stuff. So the bottom half is what I've been kind of noodling on tonight.
Sweet.
Would you push that closer to the screen? Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
There you go. There you go.
I like the big lettering. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
It fits your line.
It definitely invokes a feeling.
Yeah. I like that. I've been coloring the same dumb thing, so it doesn't matter. See? Same dumb thing.
I love it.
I'm just slowly working my way through this
Just slow, man. Just got to work it.
stupid monkey. So
Layer and layers.
one day it'll be done.
Work it.
What do you got
upside
there?
down Jesus. I like that.
Kablam. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is a book cover for the book When Marnie Was There, which is it were originally published in 1967, but I'm doing a new cover for the Spanish translation of When Marnie Was There. There was a Studio Ghibli movie version of it about maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a Spanish publisher that is currently publishing the original book in Spanish translation, and they hired me to do the cover. So that's
Very
what
nice.
I'm doing.
That's awesome.
recently. Hold on a second.
Okay, we're not going anywhere, apparently.
Apparently. Oh,
is my
is that
cover.
Laurel and Hardy?
Yes, it's Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, wow.
I picked it out.
The Christmas issue for Laurel and Hardy from American mythology. I don't know when it will be out. I assume it will be out for Christmas.
Hopefully.
March of the
Christmas.
Soldiers.
It's beautiful.
No. I love Laurel and Hardy's Babes in Toyland, which was retitled March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Right.
Yeah. It's a great show.
But that is a whole other huge aspect of something that I'm interested in.
Yeah,
It's
that
good
also
stuff.
connects to Oz because Babes in Toyland, which was the original title of March of the Wooden Soldiers,
Right.
the 1903 Broadway show was conceived directly in response to the 1902-03 Wizard of Oz, which was a huge hit on Broadway.
Okay.
No one knows about it now. It's totally forgotten. But my partner David Maxine is writing a book on it, and I don't know how much I can say, especially after drinking 2.5 drinks of rum and coke.
Yeah. Well,
after an empty stomach, and I'm a lightweight.
Yeah.
But
are you lightweight?
Eric,
I am.
I love the lines of that thing. That's a beautiful.
It's great.
I can't wait to see when you color that up.
Anyway, American Mythology has the licenses. We didn't even talk about the license for Casper because I was doing
Casper
to come back. For 2 years.
Next time.
You have to come back next time.
We're gonna make a list.
Yeah, you and I will make a list on the
Check it twice.
and we're gonna go through. We're gonna put it on the screen and we're gonna cross it off as we go along.
I was drawing Casper and Hot Stuff and Spooky for about 2 years until they relinquished the license.
Well, then we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go into detail about all of that. You and I are gonna bring Baby Snooks back.
No, I didn't draw that.
No, but we're gonna bring it back. You and me.
Okay.
It's huge.
Who has the license for Baby Snooks currently? I don't know. I would draw it. Come on, what?
Yeah. Okay. I'll
draw it.
All right. I'll come up with the idea.
I wanted to display my COVID hairstyle.
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't had a haircut since February.
Wow.
2020.
Nice.
Anyway,
grow it out, man.
You're bringing the shag back. I love
it.
Yeah, my partner said the other day, I'm not sure this is going to. This may insult you, but you kind of look like Florence Henderson on the Brady Bunch in the in the late years when she had the shag cut.
Yeah,
that's hot.
That's awesome. All right, well, Jamie, tell everyone where they can get your last grasp at the Jamboree.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter for the Baboon and Pink Lemonade Jamboree is happening for the next 24 hours, a little less than 24 hours
18,
now.
17 hours?
Yeah, so 7:30 tomorrow night is the end of it. So that's that thing, and that's where you can find it.
There we go. There's Helen. Nice.
Well, congratulations, Jamie, on 700% of your goal.
Yeah,
it's amazing, right?
It's been incredible.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
It's fantastic.
Well deserved.
It's what I've seen of it. It's amazing. I would highly recommend anybody.
Oh yeah.
To jump on it, get themselves a copy of it.
Get the first printing, people.
Yeah, I can't wait till I get my dog-eared copy from Phil whenever he's done with it. It'll be great. All right, well, guys,
Pink Lemonade.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to have you both on. And Eric, we will have you back. And Phil, you'll be back with us too. And everybody, please click, subscribe, follow us. We're here. All right, guys, we'll see you. Thank you all. Until next week, Gary. Right on time.